morning. Oh, good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa TV. This is our show, Diplomatic Leaks. Today, we want to look at the relationship between Africa and the rest of the world. And on this, we have a topic, Ukraine and the Russian war. Time and time again, I believe we have talked about the war. We talked about the effects of this war. What this war will do for Africa. What it can affect. What can damage Africa. We get a lot of grain from Ukraine, fertilizers from Ukraine. But is it a must that we should also be sucked into the war that Ukraine itself has actually started with Russia? Is it advisable? Should the whole Africa be on a war footing because Ukraine has been attacked? Should Africa be supporting what they don't know? These are the questions that I want us and the panel. Unfortunately, I am outgunned again, the panel of 3 ladies versus 1 man. But I will be able to dissect, to interrogate. I'm using very good words of Miriam here. Dissect, interrogate, and dispose the destiny of this topic. I am Dr. David Basanga, Chairman and founder of Punchline Africa. And down in Nairobi, we have our senior anchor, senior presenter, Miriam Ogutu, as my co-host. Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry.
A very good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to our panelists this afternoon, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening to our viewers from wherever they're watching us from.
Thank you very much. And in the CBD of Nairobi, we have none than our correspondent, Gladwell Kiragu. Is our legacy correspondent, Gladwell Kiragu. Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, Doc. Good afternoon to Miriam. Good afternoon to the panelists and to our viewers.
And across, thank you very much, Kiragu. I've spoken the word today nicely. Gladwell Kiragu. I will not miss the name again. And across the bridge in Kiambu, the headquarters where His Excellency, the President, comes from, the city of cities. The population of 2 million people is not a joke. That's why people are fighting for the vote. Is none other than Marine Latana. Good afternoon, Marine.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Doc. Good afternoon, Miriam and fellow panelists and our viewers. Welcome.
Marine will be our correspondent on topical issues, and we like a contribution, continue with that, bring us the local views of what people sampling, and the Kiragu will be sampling what the masses everywhere. I like the other day she was on the farm of sunflower. Unfortunately, we shall get you the stand, which is the iPod, is it iPod? We shall get you the iPod and the camera, and then
tripod
you go
stand. Tripod.
And Kiragu, you sample all these things for us, because that topic could have been a very good topic on Sunday. Back to you, Miriam, in the studio. Introduce the topic. The topic today: why should Africa be part of the Ukrainian-Russian war? I heard yesterday. Do I go ahead?
Go ahead.
I heard yesterday that the African chairperson, Mark Sally, the president of Sierra Leone, was telling people that the comedian from Ukraine wants to address grown-up men and women on the continent of Africa about what they should do and not do on the war in Ukraine and Russia. Africa has shown and listened to some of us. I like to congratulate the African countries that stood and abstained from a topic, because we have conflicts on the continent of Africa ourselves. For years and years, the conflict in Cameroon has been killing people. Nobody has come to our rescue. Years and years, the conflict in Somalia, 1991, when some of you on this panel had not been born, some were being born, they were a few years old. It has been killing people. But nobody has gone so with a high speed to mobilize the world to condemn the conflict of Cameroon, for example, to condemn the conflict of Libya, for example, to condemn the conflict of Somalia, to that level that the whole world should stop, even we should stop drinking our tea in Africa with our sunshine. We don't have even money. They want to tell us we should not go to have short calls because we should look at Cameroon, at Ukraine being beaten by Russia. We don't understand the human rights abuses that are taking place in Ukraine. But we also want to tell the world as Africans that our human rights have been trampled on by the West, especially in Libya, especially in Cameroon, where France has been leading in killing Amazonians. We want also to tell the world that we have been having a big problem with Libya, where the French people have killed Libyans and made Libya a very poor country. We want to have that legacy. We want to have the change, the will, the know-how, the determination of democracy. The democracy that we were taught by Socrates, Aristotle, Plato. We want to have it. Why are we being denied? Why are we being denied the democracy? Why should we be subject of foreign tongues? Why should Africa be addressed? Why should a small boy in Ukraine, a comedian, a small boy, a boy in Africa? Why should a boy in Ukraine address men, grown-ups, who have responsibility like us? Were we born to be addressed? Is it our fault that we have? Ukraine has made us, yes, we don't get free things. I don't see a factory of a fertilizer built here on Ukrainian money. That fertilizer factory will dry. We shall still look for fertilizers elsewhere. But if it is sympathy with human rights abuses, yes, we should be explained to properly. But for you to tell us you must assemble on your machines, on your laptops, I want to address you. Who are you? Who are you, Wewe? Who are you? Nyenye. You people in Africa, Miriam knows, grew up in a home which is military. Start your mchezo hiyo. It is stupid. It's very naive for a president in Europe to say, I want to address you. So you address us and you want to recruit us into a war, which you yourself, through George Soros, you have managed. Why did you accept for an orange revolution to take place in Ukraine? George Soros stole money from Russia. Putin wants his money. Why don't you pay Putin his money? We agree. It is very bad for human rights people to be beaten about. Disagreement, yes. And it is very bad for Russia to use chemical weapons. Very dangerous. But let me ask you a question. Why is it Russia pounding Ukraine? Mutuambie. Now this is small comedian from Ukraine. He thinks every African president walks with a trouser naked, without a trouser, or a shirt without a shirt. Let me address them from the bush, from the trees, from the birds. If we did, where does it lead us, Miriam? It leads us to what I told you. Where does it lead us? Isn't it what I told you, Miriam? Tell me that I was wrong, Matanga. When I told you that we have been bought, we have been captured. Are we not captured now? Tell me that you are not captured. You are being told, you get ready, the Ukrainian wants to talk to you. Look at that. Are you all right here? That the Ukrainian president wants to address African Union. Are these guys all right? Are these presidents of Africa ready to be subjected to such a torture? Mentally. This is like a torture. It's a very huge torture. And the earlier we disengage with such torture, the better. I submit. Therefore, there is no need of Africa being dragged into a war which we don't know left, which you don't know right, which you don't know center. Let them explain through their diplomats. Call us, call president here and explain, why are you fighting with Russia? Why should an African waste his time and money on national TV that is listening? The president, that money satellite, we are paying. Ukraine is not paying our bills for the satellite that will be used by our presidents. You have diplomats. What are diplomats doing? Why should the president from Ukraine, if he wants the soldiers, let him pay? Maybe he's wanting mercenaries from Africa. You see, that's the problem we have. Miriam, is it we people who should be hired to go and die with the war that you see these dead bodies lingering about? I submit.
All right. Thank you so much for that opening. And as Dr. Matsanga there has said, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reached out to the African Union for support against Russia's aggression and requested to address the Continental Organization. Mr. Zelensky called Senegalese President Macky Sall, who currently is the head of is the chairperson of the African Union, and in a conversation on Monday, touched on the AU statement in February that called for an immediate ceasefire and return to negotiations. African countries have showed disunity in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Senegal was among 17 African countries that abstained from a vote at the UN on a resolution demanding that Russia ends its military operation in Ukraine. And the latest from the country, it is on the Daily Nation today on page 10. Kenya has declined a request from Ukraine to address parliament as Nairobi officials feared being dragged into a conflict with the potential to hurt its bilateral ties with both Kiev and Moscow. This emerged on Monday as Kenyan diplomats in Nairobi argued they have been doing enough already through the United Nations Security Council. Ukraine, which has been defending itself against Russia's invasion, made the request to address the Kenya's parliament in February when Moscow launched what it called a military operation in that country, but a well-placed source indicated the request was not honored. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs remained mum on the matter despite repeated inquiries and reminders. Yesterday, a senior ministry official told the nation there was no need to allow this speech, adding that Kiev should make use of the available diplomatic channels. And of course, on Monday, during a Security Council briefing on Ukraine, Kenya once again condemned the invasion. We should not be here having this discussion, but for the armed breach of the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Ukraine by the Russian Federation, said Dr. Martin Kimani, Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations during the session. So Kenya has continued to maintain its stand. You know, Kenya issued a statement at the initial phases of this conflict, this invasion in Ukraine by Russia. And Doc, as I was listening to your submission as you opened the conversation this morning, It is not the, and we've seen President Zelensky speaking to the EU Parliament, speaking to the UK Parliament, speaking to, and they're trying to rally all these countries to come in and help and offer support. So a country like the UK and the US and others have offered some military support and some aid and all that. So perhaps what we need to understand from Ukraine, and perhaps what it wants from Africa, and there have been specific wanting to approach Kenya, what kind of help do they exactly want from the continent? What can we possibly do to come in aid and help Ukraine in that regard?
Sorry, Miriam, I was actually trying to wonder the same, like what could Africa possibly offer Ukraine, where at first when the war started, they were trying to say, this is not an African country. You should not just sit and watch Ukrainians suffer. And I'm like, oh, all of a sudden Africans can help, because I'm trying to figure out what help we can give. And I understand Ukraine at this particular moment. Mm-hmm. Anyone, we understand that, and I wish we could help. But first of all, Africans, we have so many problems. Politics, everything. We have so many problems. I don't know how we're supposed to help in a war, but Russia is, how are we supposed to go against Russia? Their Russia. I'm just in a dilemma, trying to figure out what Africa can really, how Africa can come in to help the war.
Very well, thank you. Paul, he's not there, but Gladwell. What kind of? I've seen there's a pay bill. I've seen it being, in the local media, a pay bill for donation for anyone willing to donate to Ukraine. But what other kind of help can we even offer as Kenya?
Sorry, Miriam?
Your connection is.
Miriam, you're having a connection issue on your side.
That will be you, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's very noisy where you are.
I can hear you now. I like the question you've asked. In Kenya, we are asked to help. What help can we offer as Kenyans currently? Because currently, our Kenya, the economy is terrific. We're in crisis. There's no way we can offer, and you can't just say that the Kenyan government will take a loan to fund them. And we can't do such a thing as Kenyans. Another thing, why start a war that you're not able to cool it off? Because when they started the war, this war started, by the way, we just saw it, it is normal. We saw it as normal, and we never knew that it's going to affect us this much, by the way. Because when it just began, everybody was like, the Ukraine-Russia war. Nobody understood, actually. And we never saw it is going to affect us in either way. And now we're paying for the war that actually we Kenyans have not even participated in. We are paying heavily for the war. So for them coming to say that, Kenya, we need to help. Our hands are tied, not unless the government speaks and say, we can do 1, 2, 3, but honestly, we can't go and just take a loan. Our country is in a mess. We just can't go take a loan, or maybe send the KDF, our military there. Because we got our militaries outside, like in Somalia. We're also endangering our people in a war that Kenya, we did not even play a part. Why should we play a victim?
Okay, very good questions there. And Doc, the issue of Ukraine, and I've seen even the EU delegation maybe about 2 weeks ago, ambassadors in Tanzania who held a press conference, and they were calling on other Africans and the African Union, the African countries to come in and help and speak on what is going on in Ukraine. And I think I did one of the shows I do in the afternoon, I talked about it. And as much as we do sympathize with the people of Ukraine, and what is happening there should be condemned, it is horrific, it's unnecessary, it's just bad. It's just bad, and we should all condemn what is happening there in Ukraine and what Russia is doing in Ukraine right now. We all agree to that, to that point. But there appears to be a coercion from the European Union, from the Ukraine itself, in forcing us to take a stand. There seems to be, I don't know what is their interest. Why are they not forcing India, whose position we know? Why are they not forcing other countries? Why is it? What is the interest that Africans must be forced to take a position on this matter? Why can't we make our own decisions that are in line with our foreign policy, in line with our interest as individual countries in the continent? Doc. Okay. Marlene, you can take that. I don't know if Doc is there.
I'm actually wondering the same. It's the same thing I was trying to ask you, Miriam. Like, if I don't understand how you can ask someone who is less privileged, like you, to help you out, not unless I'm sure every country is sympathizing with Ukraine. Every country is, and it's like you said, why are they not asking India? Why are they not asking why Africa? There's something behind the request, of which I could urge, please, anyone who is supposed to make this decision for Africa, please do not. We do not want to endanger. We just don't. Let's solve our issues first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And even as we speak, the European Union is strengthening relations with Nigeria as it seeks to diversify sources of its natural gas imports in an attempt to reduce reliance on Russian energy. Nigeria is the fourth biggest liquefied natural gas supplier to Europe. At least 40% of Nigeria's gas is currently exported to Europe. And I think yesterday also on Monday, Italy signed with Algeria a gas deal amid Ukraine, crisis. So they're trying to find other ways. So when you look at how they're coming in, could this be some of the interest perhaps they're seeking to explore, even as what they were getting from Russia right now, of course, because of the sanctions, the gas and the oil. So now they've turned into, to Africa to try and supplement with whatever they can get from the continent. And of course, this could pose another challenge in the future, when it comes to natural resources, and when the West is too much involved in a country in Africa. We've seen how that has turned out, as in the case study in Libya, as in the case study in the Central African Republic. We've seen how that has played out. So that also poses other challenges that the continent might have to deal with in the near future. But what is it? What interest, Doc, do you think the Western world has in coercing African countries to take sides and to be involved actively in this conflict?
Miriam, first of all, I agree. I've been listening to some of the comments that you have made. One of the comments that were made by Marine is that we have a lot of problems on the continent of Africa, and to start creating have not solved ours. I agree with you. I agree with Gladwell also. My stand is this. As you come to collect sign those agreements with Nigeria, you are leaving a conflict. People are not seeing the conflict that is coming. Those guys were relying on Russia. They went to Russia and spoiled. Now they are coming here. Again, they will also start wars with us. If you are going to Delta area and sign an agreement in Delta, sign an agreement in Delta, in the Delta area, which is already with conflict. With conflict already there. You are causing another conflict. Soon, this company that will go to Delta, abductions, they will start abducting the black. There is already a war in Nigeria. How do you say you are signing anything to do with Nigeria? So I agree with you, Miriam. We are in a very tight corner, a corner that we must use that we must utilize effectively. Avoid this conflict, stand neutral, abstain more. Let's give them only lip service, but not to go. You know, Russia is a very dangerous country. Russia could start overthrowing these presidents. Yeah. Media, did you not see that? It could start creating a coup here. You see soldiers walking into they say we have taken over.
Well, we're seeing how that is playing out in Mali.
Yeah?
We're seeing how that is playing out in Mali.
Yes, you have seen what is in Mali. Russia could actually hack all these things, even these things might not work. We gave them technology. They became very clever. They can even make Zoom not work. Did you know that? The other time, the whole world, I think you saw it in 2021. I was in London. The whole world went black. You remember when we had no internet for hours? Did you remember something like that?
Yeah.
Even all DSTV, all radios went down. Everything went down. The only thing that was left working was Russian TV and the digital. What is it called? The digital something. The rest went down. So let's be careful. Let's assess. Let Mark Sally not just tell people we are now going to be addressed by Ukraine. What does the man want us to be addressed on? Does he want to tell us to go? We go and fight the war in Ukraine? What does he want? We have voted in UN. They have passed the resolution. What does he want? We have taken part in it. What does he want us to do? Does he want us to carry Ukrainian refugee here? Yes. There's plenty of sunshine in Northeastern. The other time Africa started carrying Taliban people, even Uganda accepted some Afghanistans. You saw the danger which took place there. After 1 month, they came and even things started working wrongly. Museveni abandoned those. Where are those Afghanistans who came to East Africa? Do you know where they are? They have now set up shops everywhere. You never know where they are. The Afghanistans like telephone shops, technical, anything to do with IT. All people who repair our telephones in London are from Afghanistan. If you didn't know. Every corner shop of electronics, there is someone from Afghanistan, Kabul, Kandahar, wherever, Lahore. You know, this, we are in a great moment of difficulties. So let's be very honest to each other that there could be some difficulties with us wholesomely agreeing to carry the burden of Ukraine. Therefore, I submit that Africa should not hurry in being addressed like a children on a conflict they did not initiate. I don't know whether all African countries, apart from Malawi and the Seychelles, those two countries were at the forefront of voting for sanctions against Russia, because Chakwera receives money from evangelical churches like Ruto. So there is nothing wrong. That's what I know. And forgive me for saying it here now. That's it. That's why Malawi improved by a war in the church. When Malawi, it doesn't even have money for a toilet. to build the toilets across the country. Wachana na hiyo. Thank you very much, Miriam. I think we have done our best on this subject, unless there's something new. Me, African countries, I disagree. They should not go there.
I second that. I support you as well.
Kiragu,
Yes,
you support?
I support you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, and gentlemen and the ladies, and unfortunately, Miriam is not there to finish the show. But I would like to say, Africa, time has come for you to learn who are the friends and who are not friends. If you see anybody who walks like a friend in Africa, ask how he eats like a friend and how he sits when he's not with you. That's all I can say. Thank you very much for this diplomatic links. It's 20 minutes to 1 o'clock East African Standard Time. I want to thank you all. I want to wish you a very good time in the Jerusalem today, because this is the day that the people of God do not have received anymore. They were just out yesterday. So thank you very much. God bless you. Thanks. Kiragu and Marine, thank you very much.